time now for Entre Nous, and today we're focusing on a trend that many people may have noticed in supermarkets, the craze for protein-enhanced foods. For more on this, we can bring in Solange Mougin. Solange, good to see you. Has this trend hit France?
It has. If you enter a supermarket here, you will likely see lots of products that advertise their high protein or protein enhanced content. And this trend begs a lot of questions. Do we really need all that protein? Is this just a fad? Or worse yet, could it be a scam? How has the food industry capitalized on this? What of the masculinist aspect of this craze? Because there is a masculinist aspect to it. For now, many French consumers, though, they are still quite confused about what that extra protein does and if it's good for you.
I think it's for energy, to have more energy. When you're fatigued, it gives you a boost.
We didn't know pasta can have protein added to it, so we bought it to try.
For me, it's marketing. It scares me a little. It feels like it's too much processing.
Now, in a minute, I'll get into the risks of ultra-processed foods that claim to be healthy because of the extra protein. But first, what exactly is protein? It is a macronutrient, like fat and carbohydrates. But unlike them, it has not been vilified by diet trends. Protein is needed by the body to build muscle. It strengthens bones, maintains our immune systems, digestion, and hormone levels. We get it from lots of sources, the boosted supplements, but more importantly as well, and mostly, hopefully, whole foods like lean meats, beans, nuts, cottage cheese, and eggs as well.
Now, one of the most recent signs of this trend here in France has been the shortage of eggs.
Yeah, currently there is an on and off and on and again shortage of eggs here. Now, the latest one is due to a number of factors like bad weather, but above all, it is an issue of supply and demand. The French appetite for eggs is increasing. According to the French National Committee to Promote Eggs, or the CNPO, production has actually increased 2%, while they say the demand has increased 14%. Eggs are a relatively cheap source of protein, and they do not have the same adverse effects that, say, red meat has on one's health and also on the planet. Now, of course, it's not just the egg industry that is surfing on this pro-protein trend. Milk is doing that as well. France is a big consumer, for example, of yogurt, and ones with high protein content, like skyr and Greek yogurt, they're increasingly popular here, as are ones with added protein. You can often tell that they are enhanced with protein because the packaging is often black, which is actually a color that we rarely see in the food industry. But here it's often the visual clue. Now, why black? Well, who knows? But you could argue that the color works well with protein's bodybuilding image, one of a man, a strong man who pumps iron and beefs up his muscles, which sadly actually feeds into this masculinist trends that we're also seeing on social media, as well as the diet and pro-protein ones.
Now, this protein craze is not just a French phenomenon, in the US too, I'd assume.
It is booming there as well and has been for years. Over the past few decades, it's moved from sort of a niche fitness market to the mainstream. Social media has played a key role in this, as have anti-obesity drugs, which have created a growing market for small, bite-sized snacks. Now, one of these products is Babybel, made by the French company Bel. There are lots of social media videos of nostalgia-inducing peeling of the red wax of these cheeses, along with lots of boasting about their protein levels. And the U.S. has actually become mini Babybel's #1 market, with 20,000 tons of this cheese sold per year. Their growth there is actually 12% versus the 6% worldwide. Bel has production lines in the U.S., but also much of the cheese made in France's main factory is shipped to the U.S. They're actually investing 60 million euros to boost production for the U.S. market. There are other flavor spin-offs there, like Monterey Jack. You won't find Monterey Jack in France, or cheddar, as well as the black waxed ones. These are the extra protein ones, which we also have here. But careful. They, like many of these protein products, they often cost a lot more with actually not that much extra protein. And from a marketing standpoint, one of the interesting things here is how Bel has managed to transform its image image outside of France, from bite-sized kid snacks to healthy protein for sporty adults. Sponsorship, like with the Chicago Bulls or with influencers, they've helped this. And the market for bite-sized cheeses like Kiri, like Vache Kiri, Laughing Cow, isn't just in the U.S. Bell is also doubling its production in Vietnam for its other cheeses. For the Africa Cup, for example, the Africa Cup of Nations, it came out with a harissa peppered option of the Laughing Cow. Because it doesn't need to be refrigerated, it's often a popular source of protein in warm climates. Now, the irony, though, is that here in France, not only have they been called out by watchdogs over marketing unhealthy food to children, some people also in France say it isn't cheese. C'est pas du fromage, ça, some people say. That debate aside, when it comes to these products and others, reading the ingredients list is essential because many of these sources of protein are ultra-processed and not necessarily healthy.
Protein, cheese with added protein, okay. Emulsifier, xylitol sweetener, there's cane sugar, soy protein. This is a product that's very salty. There's 2.8 grams of salt for every 100 grams.
So Solange, are these high protein foods good for you?
Well, nutritionalists agree that more studies they need to be done about the effects of too much protein, particularly on the kidneys. But overall, it's not something that is stored in the body. It's not thought to be very toxic for the body if you have too much. It is known that too much ultra-processed food and too much red meat, they do have adverse health effects and also adverse environmental effects. But as for other proteins, the jury is still out. There actually was no evidence that ramping up consumption of protein is actually needed. This was largely discussed when the U.S. issued new dietary guidelines and promoted people to eat more protein. Nutritionalists say that extra protein can be beneficial for those with smaller appetites, the elderly, the ill, and also those doing high-intensity workouts, athletes. Some studies have shown that it can help people lose weight by regulating hormones. But the consensus is that most of the population in richer nations, well, they have enough protein, and that it's best to have a balanced diet and whole foods that have protein rather than the ultra-processed, boosted ones.
Solange, thank you very much for that. Solange Mougin there. And that's it for this edition of Entre Nous.